Hey everyone, J-Dog, and I'm here with another member. I think it was around last week or something that CNN had the opportunity to interview with a man who happens to be a member of the Central Park Five. For those of you who may not be familiar, the Central Park Five were 5 black males who were falsely accusing of raping of a white woman who was jogging at Central Park. I think this is in New York or something. And they were unfortunately convicted, only to find out that there was no DNA evidence that would prove their guilt, and it turns out that they may have been set up and framed for the crime, especially when it turns out the real criminal, whose name I do not know, even if some people may have already talked about it, finally came forward, admitted to what he did, and when there was DNA evidence, it was shown that the Central Park Five were framed, and the Central Park Five were able to finally be released from prison. You see, the Central Park Five, when they were at the time, were high school students, and they lost everything. They never got to go to prom. They never got to graduate. They were trapped in prison. Eventually, when they got out, they were able to try to do whatever they could to catch up. I remember there was a report where they even got their GEDs. Because remember, they were high school students when they were arrested and charged. They were tried as adults. What made it even worse was that Donald Trump, or should I say, dumbass J. Chump, Joffrey himself, basically tried to do ad campaigns against these men and saying they're guilty and wants them sent to death. And to make it even far worse, even when they were found innocent and were released from jail and now are trying to just live their life, Donald Trump never apologized. But you know what? They should never accept any apology from him anyway. And Donald Trump at some points even still says that they should have been stuck in prison and die in prison. That's what Trump has said. So now, here on CNN, here's a video of one of them warning the black community not to trust Trump. And the reason why he is warning the black community is because Trump is doing a lot to try to get the black vote. After what happened with Kanye West and people like Candace Owens, who is a YouTuber, and then you have other black Donald Trump supporters, Donald Trump, unfortunately, is increasing with black support, and that is not good. And he is trying to do everything to get the black vote, or at least get the black vote for fellow Republicans in the upcoming midterm elections. So he's even trying to do these pardons of boxer Jack Johnson, to a grandmother named Alicia Mary Johnson, which, by the way, Kim Kardashian, he's talked to Kim Kardashian and Sylvester Stallone, and basically they were the ones that claimed to have helped in the process of getting those people pardoned. Then there's the whole Muhammad Ali situation, but then again, he was never really put in jail. He was released and pardoned in the past. And then I want to show you this. You even have a Republican strategist urging Trump to basically pardon Marcus Garvey. Now, if you don't know who he is, he was an activist who was possibly among the originators of Pan-Africanism and wanted to help get most of us to Africa to have a connection with the African people. And the FBI and maybe even other parts of the government did not like that, especially the racists that were running some of these government officials, these government agencies like the FBI, and they went after him. Now back here, here's the interview from the Central Park 5 member. Hold on, let me turn up my volume real quick. And now, here's what the Central Park 5 member has to say.
Raymond Santana, in his case, he gave Kim Kardashian West a shout-out today. Just to remind you, in 1990, Santana and 4 others were convicted in the beating and rape of a jogger in New York Central Park. After serving years in prison, he and the rest of what became known as the Central Park 5 were finally exonerated. Someone else committed the crime. DNA evidence confirmed it. Today, Raymond Santana tweeted, "I gave Kim Kardashian a lot of flack about speaking on prison reform, but when I found out she went to champion on Alice Johnson's behalf, I had to eat my words. Apologies to Kim Kardashian. Recognize your work. Salute." And in that one tweet, Raymond Santana was far more generous to Kim Kardashian West than the president ever was to him or the other members of the Central Park 5. In the weeks after the attack, Citizen Trump bought these full-page newspaper ads calling for return of the death penalty. When the 5 were exonerated, he refused to accept it, and when the city agreed to a $41 million settlement with them, he wrote an opinion piece calling it a disgrace. He has, to this day, never apologized to Raymond Santana, who joins us, or any member of the Central Park 5. Raymond, I want to ask you the same question that I just asked Van Jones. How do you make sense of the president who can show mercy to someone like Alice Marie Johnson, but still to this day hasn't apologized to you or the other 4 of the Central Park 5?
Anderson, it's when I first heard about it, I really thought that it was a good thing. I thought that it was a great thing that somebody was finally pardoned, that he had taken a step to do something, for Alice Johnson. But there's a part of me that, because of this man's track record, because we know that he's deceitful, he has lied several times, he has fabricated things, it's very hard to believe that it comes from a genuine place. Then we find out that Kim Kardashian, went and spoke to him and consulted with him, and she swayed him to do this. So it just proves that at the end of the day, like, he's still full of lies and he's still full of trickery, and that it hurts because here we are, right, in the pardon of Scooter Libby, right? And I quote, Donald said that, he didn't know the man personally, but he spoke to several people, and several people said that this guy was done unjustly, and that's what he went by. And in our case, we had DNA evidence. We had the prosecutor, right? We had several people who championed for us, and none of that mattered to him, and he didn't care. We were still guilty in his eyes. So at the end of the day, this move doesn't look like it comes from a good place. We can't trust him. You can't just dangle Kim Kardashian and Kanye West in our face and say, look, I have a change of heart and I deserve a pass.
We heard from Kim Kardashian a bit ago, the fact that there's been a celebrity component to some of these pardons, whether it's with her or Sylvester Stallone and Jack Johnson. Does that matter in your mind? Or at the end of the day, if a commutation or pardon happens, is that what counts most?
I think that it does matter. In our case, you had Ken Burns who did his research and seek the truth and seek justice, and he knew that we were innocent, so he stepped up and decided to do something for it. And I think that it weighs a lot because our celebrities, this is what they're supposed to do. They have this major influence. They have a duty to the public, those people who support them. They're supposed to champion for a cause like this.
I just want to read a portion of the full-page ad that then Donald Trump took out in the Daily News. It was back in 1989 about you and your co-defendants. He wrote, quote, "Criminals must be told that their civil liberties end when an attack on our safety begins." Does that at all sound like the same man who's pardoning people who have a criminal record now?
Well, I mean, it might look like that there's a change, but I don't want to give him that pass just yet. He needs to do more for our community. We have a lot of issues. If you want to pardon people, speak to the Innocence Project in New York City. I'm sure they have a whole list of people that deserve pardons. I mean, there's other issues that we have to deal with before we can trust Donald Trump. I mean, there's police brutality, mass incarceration, job unemployment, education funding for programs that he has cut in the past. Like, he has to do all these things and make it right before we can finally trust this man.
The president has shown compassion by pardoning someone like Alice Marie Johnson or commuting a sentence. Do you have any kind of expectation that he may also show compassion and admit he was wrong and apologize to you and the other four, or at least admit he was wrong?
I mean, if he does, it's a first step in the right direction. But before I believe him, he has to do a whole lot more for our community.
Raymond Santana, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you so much, Anderson.
Well, coming up next, more breaking news. A fascinating story. First Lady Melania Trump firing.
All right, there you have it. That was Raymond Santana of the Central Park Five. See, yeah, we all know this is another scheme by dumbass Joffrey Chump. Raymond, he's saying that we just cannot just trust Trump right out of the blue, and I agree with him. All right, Trump is nothing more than a racist. He's just trying to do that to get some black votes to help his fellow Republicans in the midterm, to help him in 2020, and then he's going to just crap on us all over again. I mean, if he hasn't already. He's trying to get brownie points, and I hope it does not work. Alright, we should not be trusting. We know the history of Trump. We should not be trusting this man. Even if he finally apologized to Central Park 5, that would be just nothing more than a PR move. I'll leave the link to the article in the description box and maybe even the comment section or both. And also, I want to hear your own comments on the video I just showed. You can also read the article if you like to. Share the video, share share the article. If you're not a subscriber, please make sure to subscribe to my channel or channels. I do YouTube, Black Junction TV, and Black Spot TV. And like I said in this story, I stand with Raymond Santana. I will never trust Trump. Don't call him Trump, call him Chump, because that's what Donald Trump is, a chump. And I stand with Raymond Santana. And I hope y'all do as well. But like I said, make sure you subscribe, and I hope to speak to y'all in the next video.